Hello, this is Mr. Mendez, and the purpose of this screencast is to read about and set up a graphic organizer and map for the Compromise of 1850. Let's take a look at the graphic organizer. You're going to be reading page 252 in the Social Studies Alive textbook. There is a PDF of that online on Google Classroom. You'll be completing this problem solution chart below, and you need to use the word bank. Here's our word bank. Mexican War, California, 36 degree 30 latitude, and Henry Clay. These four terms need to be included somewhere in this organizer. And you're using a problem solution. So there's a problem facing the Union as we approach 1850. Why is it a problem? Why is it a problem? What's the compromiser solution? Detail about that solution. Detail about that solution. Here's a hint. There are four solutions. So you may want to write the big solution, like who was part of creating that solution here, and then here, what favored the North for detail 1, what pleased the South in detail 2. You may want to make a note of this on your organizer right now. So 2 details that pleased the North, 2 details for pleasing the South, because it was a compromise. When you're done with this, you're completing a map. It's called the Compromise of 1850 Map Activity. You're going to be using a pen or a black colored pencil to label the Utah Territory, label the New Mexico Territory. And then you're going to be labeling California, which becomes part of the Union now, and label Washington, D.C., because that's a factor in the Compromise of 1850 as well. So the country has grown. So now you're going to be coloring the free states in green. You're going to see there's more free states by 1850 than there was in 1820. And you're going to color all the slave states and territories yellow. Color the popular sovereignty territories red. You're going to see that there's this thing called popular sovereignty territories. All that means, popular sovereignty, is that those territories get to decide for themselves whether they want to be free or slave. So there's a popular vote on that. And then you need to make a key, identifying the colors of free states and territories, so identifying what green and yellow and red mean, and slave states and territories and popular sovereignty territories in the key box. Here's what the map looks like. So here's the United States, and here's where you put your key, and then all those different territories are designated here. I will show you where you can get a lot of the, or not a lot, but all the information for completing this map. So this is the Compromise of 1850 and the work you need to do after the reading. Let's jump to the reading. So this is the reading out of Social Studies Alive. It's page 252. Let's preview this. Here is Henry Clay once again, now in 1850, 30 years later, talking to Congress about a possible compromise because the Missouri Compromise did not work. Tension over how slavery is going to be dealt with as the country grows is still becoming an increased problem. And now you're going to see that they're asking the North to return runaway enslaved people, and that upsets the North. And also abolitionism is really on the rise now. The North is beginning to realize that slavery is a evil, a moral problem, and needs to be gotten rid of. And of course, the South sees slavery as part of their way of life. Well, the white South does. I don't think the enslaved African Americans thought that. So here is the map that you're going to use. It's on the next page. This is going to help you identify and label a lot of things, in particular California and Washington, D.C. are factors in the Missouri or in the Compromise of 1850. Here's the Utah, New Mexico territory are factors in the Compromise of 1850, and also some laws passed in the North that is important to the Compromise of 1850. So this map, which is on page 253 at the top, is really going to be helpful. And before we start reading, I do want to show you one other map because we're going to be talking about this. There's a war over the land here that Mexico owned that now is part of the United States that was fought over. So between 1820 and 1850, the Mexican War is what it's called. And part of this gets turned into that Utah and the Utah, New Mexico territory. So let's begin the reading. Compromise of 1850. In the late 1840s, the North and South struggled over new Western territory. After the Mexican War, the United States had gained a huge amount of land in the West and in the Southwest. I just showed it to you. This included California. In 1849, California asked to enter the Union as a free state. Well, that would upset the South, wouldn't it? Plus, California's huge. Plus, isn't half of it below that 3630 line? Southerners were angered. Now there would be more congressmen from free states than from slave states. So now the South is getting upset because California's coming in free, and, well, there'd be more free states with power in Congress. Also, much of California was south of the 3630 north latitude line. Under the Missouri Compromise, slavery should not have been allowed there. Some Southerners began to talk about pulling their states out of the Union in protest. So here we are, 1850, and already the South is talking about seceding or leaving the Union, forming its own country. Once again, Henry Clay offered a compromise. It was called the Compromise of 1850 and included several laws which Congress passed. To please the North, two things. Congress admitted California as a free state. It also stopped the sale of enslaved people in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. So, that's big. California is free. And this is more of a gesture. Washington, D.C. does not allow auctioning of enslaved people. More to show that the nation's beginning to change. The capital is not endorsing the sale of enslaved people. To please the South, Congress allowed people in New Mexico and Utah to vote on whether to allow slavery in their territories. Congress also passed the Fugitive Slave Law. This law said that officials in the North would help capture fugitive or runaway enslaved people. So, to please the South, because the South was big into popular sovereignty, which is the idea that the states choose what they want to be, the New Mexico and Utah Territory, soon to become states, would choose for themselves whether they wanted to be slave or free. And then this Fugitive Slave Law was passed, and that said that there were officials in the North that would return enslaved people and even help capture them. Well, let's see the result of that. The Fugitive Slave Law surprised and angered many Northerners. In Illinois, a rising political leader named Abraham Lincoln was troubled by this law. Some states reacted by passing laws that forbade officials from helping slave hunters. So there's popular sovereignty, right? The states don't want it. So they're using what the South likes against them. Abolitionists broke into jails to free captured runaways, and the Underground Railroad was busier than ever. The Compromise of 1850 left many people upset. Southerners accused the North of wanting to destroy their way of life by stopping slavery, also by aiding enslaved people to escape. They were upset about that. Northerners accused the South of wanting to spread the terrible system of slavery. So now Northerners are beginning to see it as a moral evil that needs to come to an end. Later on, Lincoln would warn that the nation could not go on forever, half slave, half free. And again, you're going to be using this map to complete your map, and the ideas up here to complete the problem solution chart. This ends the reading.